YouTube, what's happening? It is Thursday, July 4th. It's a holiday, and I am up early doing this, knocking this out for everybody. You can see we have a full slate of baseball. It starts early today. Drop a like, subscribe, and share if you haven't, because yesterday we had a day. Look at all that green. Ooh, we are getting blinded out here. 10-4 plus 5.9 units for the week, for the last 7 days. Concurrent, we are still up 4.3, 44 on the last month, and 78 on the season now. And it could have been even better if Jones and Ray both missed by half. The only thing that was bad was LA. That was the only thing that was bad. Oakland handed it to them, but outside that, beautiful day overall. So we have a full slate today, tons of baseball. It's almost all early games, so we can get those done with, so we can enjoy some fireworks tonight. So let's go ahead and jump into that first one right now. All right, first up, we got the Mets in Washington. You can see Mets have lost one, Washington's won one. Quintana 3-5 with a 4.57 up against Irvin 6-6 with a 3.03. Murphy 54.2 based on what they've done this year. Looking over at the odds, we see that is basically a pick'em, slight favorite for the Mets. 9.5 and 9s for your totals out there. Looking at the bats, we see they're both pretty hot, but the trend lines are going different directions. Nets 7 runs a game in their last 3 for third best. Washington 5.3 runs their last 3 for ninth. 243 batting for both teams, so no advantage there. The only thing that really stands out here is the Mets are striking out a ton. They're averaging 11.3 strikeouts as a team in their last 3 games for 27th. That's still 9.8 for the past week and still 8.9 for the past 2 weeks. So Mets have been striking out a good bit. So we will look at Irving's strikeout props. And I've already looked at it, and it's looking like it's going to be a take. Washington hasn't been striking out much. So let's pop over to pitching. Irvin first. You can see 303 with a 106. Hasn't faced the Mets this year, but you can see dude's been balling pretty good. So, and he's got 10 there, and he got 10 down here. So yeah, he could strike out dudes, and you can see, nothing wrong with him. He's a good pitcher. His worst game is right here against Arizona, but he shut down Tampa, shut down Colorado, shut down Detroit, which isn't hard. It's Detroit, let's be honest. Shut down Atlanta, who's been cold all month. So these, the Mets could get to him, but because none of these are really stout offenses in the month of June, the only one is really Cleveland, and that was a month ago. So, I mean, yeah, nothing's impressive here for the teams he faced, but yeah, he still shut them down. So he shut professionals down. So we'll take that. His counterpart, Quintana, 4.57 with a 1.37 whip, hasn't faced Washington, but you can see stats 3.3, 2, 3.3. He's good for a 3, then he got better. So, I mean, I still think he's probably closer to 2 or 3 runs giving up himself. So, to me, Irving is the slight favorite in the pitching. Meanwhile, Mets have an extra run, 1.7 runs. So we'll say that the Mets are slightly better with the runs. So to me, they kind of cancel out. So the only thing I really want to look at is, like I said, the strikeout props. So this is Outlier. If you don't know what Outlier is, it is amazing. It is awesome. I use this. I partner with them because I wanted to be able to show you guys more stats and props, and this is helping. And the last 2 days I put this in the video, I have been crushing the props. It has been amazing. Went 10-4 yesterday, mainly because of props. Almost 12-2. So this has helped out a lot. So if you like this, hit the link in the description. Go grab you a trial. Check it out. It's awesome. But you can see here, Irving's number is 5.5 out there. He's hit 10 a couple times. He's gone below, but I am going to take his over 5.5 strikeouts here because 136 is pretty, alt lines, we could come down. I could take 4.5 for -160. That might be the safer route. It really depends how safe you want to be. I'm going over his strikeouts, 4 or 5. We got to pick which way we want to go. You know what? I'm going to be a little risky. I'm going to roll the dice a little bit. I'm going to take this over 5.5 because the way the Mets are swinging right now, I'm not too concerned. I think he can get 6 strikeouts. So, because you can see he has done it a few times. 5 out of his last 10, he's hit at least 6 strikeouts. So yeah, I'll rock with it. We're going to go over 5.5 strikeouts. We're not going to take a total. We're not going to take a side. We're not going to take a Murphy. Just the strikeout prop for Irvin, and move on to the next game. Next up, we got St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Palante 4-3 up against Perez 1-4. Murphy is 60.3. Based on what they've done this season, we'll take a look at the pitchers to see if that's something we want to do. Pop over the odds. First, though, we see St. Louis is a slight favorite on the road. Nines with 108.5 out there for the totals. For the bats, pretty equal. They're both 4.3 runs in their last three for 14th in the majors, middle of the road. 264 versus 235, 8th and 16th. St. Louis has a slight advantage there. However, both teams are still striking out like crazy. St. Louis is 27th at 11.3 strikeouts a game. They struck out 12 times yesterday. Pittsburgh is at 9.7 for 22nd. They only struck out 7 times. So we will look at some strikeout props as well. So starting with the Nerfy first, let's pop over to some pitchers. Let's start with Perez. Perez is the first one, 5.28, 161. Got destroyed against Atlanta his last time out. 8.66 with 4 Ks. Other than that, 4 innings, he got pulled after that. Only pitched 3 innings, got pulled here against Atlanta. He just doesn't like playing Atlanta. 11.99 against Milwaukee. He gives up runs. That's what we're going to get out of him. So we can look at a couple things here. We can look at how Perez is going to do when it comes to giving up runs. We can look at his strikeouts because St. Louis is such a poor strikeout team. So let's go ahead and pop over to Outlier for Perez here. For strikeouts, his number's 3.5. Plus 110, and you can see that he has been over that 3.5 number 8 out of 10 times in his last 10 games. And as we see before, St. Louis is 27th in the majors in the last 3 in strikeouts. So yeah, I'm going to be adding Perez over 3.5 strikeouts. And then also, if we want to look at earned runs too, we can. Let's do that right now. Let's pop over. Earned runs. This is basically, if you think St. Louis is going to get some runs off of him, 2.5. We go back to pitching and look at his stats. He got roughed up twice real bad. And he got 4 and 3 against LA and Colorado of all teams. And we see that St. Louis is 264 for 8th, so they're doing well. When it comes to hits, his hit prop isn't that good. It's only 4 out of 6. So that's not what we're going to look at. So I'm probably just going to stick with his strikeout props in this one because I like that number best, because seeing 8 out of 10, he gets at least 4. It seems like almost every time. It's 3.5. He's facing a team that strikes out a lot. That sounds good. Pop back over to pitching. Let's look at Palante real quick. 4.5 with a 158. You can see he hasn't faced Pittsburgh. Gave up some runs to Houston. That happens. Gave up some runs to San Fran. So we got 2 pitchers here that both have been blown up multiple times in the past month. So that's interesting to look at. So outside, you can see his strikeout props. Let's pop on over his too. Let's see if we can find some value here. Strikeouts. He only has a handful of games this year, but he's gone over his strikeout prop 5 out of 6 times. It's 3.5. Wow. Yeah. And we see that Pittsburgh is 9.7 strikeouts for 22nd. St. Louis is, yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll take Palante strikeouts too. So, okay, for this game, we're taking both pitcher strikeout props. So when we go back over to the bats, we see that they're middle of the road. The odds have it at 8.5 and 9. They're expecting more runs, but I'm not. You have pitchers that give up runs, but they strike out also. With these offenses being where they are, they're both 14th. I think I'm going to pass on a total. I lean over. I'm going to lean over a lot today because it's the holiday. There's going to be lots of fireworks. Hopefully it's a dinger Thursday, if you know what I mean. So, but I already got 2 picks. I'm taking both pitcher strikeout props in this one. So Perez 3.5, Palante 3.5. Wow. Okay. So 2 double 3.5s in this one. And we'll take those. We're not going to take a side at all and move on to the next game. Oh, and also, don't forget the Nerfy. With these 2 pitchers, let me be honest, I can't with the Nerfy. These 2 pitchers give up too many runs, so we're going to pass on that. Just 2 strikeout props and move on. Next up, we got Cincinnati in New York. Cincy got the win as a massive underdog. Plus 158 is what I got yesterday. Beautiful hit. And that was mainly a road-on fade because Cincy's numbers are not good, as you will see. Today, we got Montas 3-6 and Stroman 7-3. 46.5 on the Nerfy. Look at these offenses. I think we might be taking a Nerfy in this one. Nerfy alerts even. So looking at the odds, it's just like yesterday. Cincy is same 150 plus. Yankees are almost 200. But today it makes more sense because look at the bats. Look at these numbers. Cincy, 2.7 runs a game for 25th their last 3. That's fine. But the batting average, they're batting 110 as a team in the last 3. You know how hard it is to be that bad consistently as a group? To be that bad, you can't find somebody who's decent. No, not here. They're just collectively trash. That's what they are right now. So, but they won yesterday because Rodon's even more trash. He's trashier trash. So either way, we got the win. We move on. Yankees 4.7 for 11th in the last three, 221. So they're in the bottom six themselves when it comes to batting average. So as it's just they can't score. They can't. If you can't score, if you can't hit, if you can't hit, it's going to be a long day. So you have these two batting averages. They're terrible. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the Nerfy for sure because of batting average. We are looking at the under because if it's high enough, those bats ain't going to get it done unless we have a massive breakout. We're going to look at Stroman strikeouts because you can see Cincinnati is striking out a good bit. And we are going to look at both pitchers, their earned run props. That's what we're going to look at in this one. So let's start with the pitchers. Stroman, you can see what's going on. 6 and 5 is his worst game against Minnesota. Outside of that, he gives up some runs. So he does. He's good for about 3 runs recently. Before that, he was doing better. So I would say overall, if you combine the last 6 games, maybe 2 runs. Depends who he's facing. But now he's facing Cincinnati, who's batting 110. He might throw a damn perfect game today. Who knows? So anyways, Montes. 4-2-3 with a 1-3-1. His worst game is 5-4 in the second inning. You could tell with that 0.1 against the Cubs. Outside of that, he gives us some runs too, but nothing I'm really too concerned of because when the bats are this poor, I'm not that worried. So based on this, I'm going to rock with it. I'm going to take the Nerfy in this one for sure. Now, also looking at the odds, do we like an over-under? 8.5 and 9s are out there. When the bats are this bad, which they are, and I know it's a holiday and all this. I don't care. I don't care. Baseball players are trends and they do the same thing each and every day. They don't care what day it is. There's going to be extra fireworks going on tonight. That's all it is. And most of these are day games. Like this game starts at 1 Eastern? Yeah. So we're going to take the under of 9 in this one as well because under of 9, the Nerfy. Now let's look at the props. It's going to be a heavy day on bets, let me tell you. Especially after yesterday. Yeah. So let's pop over to old outlier here. Hayes for Stroman. His number is 4.5. He is hit over in 4 out of the last 10, and he's only got 6 as his max. That ain't good enough. I need somebody that does strikeouts. He doesn't do it, so we're gonna pass on the strikeout props. His earned runs, I'd 2.5. I mean, it could be under, but I just don't trust it. So I think I'm good with this one. We're not gonna do any more props. For this one, we're just gonna rock with the Nerfy. And we're going to take the under of 9 and move on to the next one. Next up, we got Houston and Toronto. We got Valdez 6 and 5 against Bassett 7 and 6. Nerfy 59.2. We'll come back to that. Odds: Houston slightly favored. Total 8.5 across the board. Looking at the bats, you see Houston scores some runs recently. 6 in their last 3 for 6th place. 3.3 for Toronto for 24th. The bats, though, are a little different story. 225 for Houston for 23rd and 169 for Toronto for 27th. So we have two teams that Houston had to pop up with a 289 yesterday, but Toronto's still riding down there in the 100 range. That's not where you want to be if you want to win games. So we have, and neither team's striking out much, as you can see. So what are we looking at? We have batting averages recently for Houston have gone down, but spiked up one time. But Toronto's staying down here, so we might want to look at Valdez on some of his props. We might want to look at an under. We might want to look at a Nerfy. Look at the pitchers. A bunch of things we could look at here. So looking over the pitching, let's go ahead and, because we want to see what we can do to make sure we can get the best value overall on things. So make sure I'll load this up right. Valdez here, you can see the only thing that really, he gives up some hits. 8 and 5 against San Fran, earned runs here, that's fine. The walks stand out a little bit. 5 walks in the game is pretty concerning. Nothing really stands out. He's overall a good pitcher, but I would say Bassett's probably better because looking at his numbers, you can see he's way more consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him, probably 0 to 2 runs. 8 and 3 against Pittsburgh was the last time he actually got rocked. Before that, pretty good overall numbers. He doesn't give up many hits either. He does strike out dudes. So popping over to the outlier, we can see, we'll start with Bassett. Hits, his number 6.5 for the under, and he's been under 8 out of 10 times, and it's minus 145. Ooh, that's pretty high. You go under 6 period, that way we could have the push option. We can get 120, which I'm fine with because I don't think he'll even get the 6 because Houston's not batting well. So I'm going to definitely be adding Bassett under 6 when it comes to this, that way, because he's hit this number so many times. I don't think Houston can get that many hits off him. Strikeouts, That's a razor margin right there against Houston, who's not striking out much. We'll pass on a strikeout. Earn run, that could be even better too, but Houston is scoring runs, so let's be safe. Let's be semi-conservative here. And walks, he does walk some, but 1.5. I'm not really liking that. So we'll just take the under 6 hits. Let's look over at Valdez over here. Hits, that stands out there. Strikeouts. Let's see. Oh, reload it. Strikeouts, nothing stands out. The main thing I saw clicking through this was the walks, because a lot of green is 1.5, and he had a 5 walk against the White Sox. 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. I almost want to take his walk prop just because Toronto's not really a team that strikes out much. They're only 8th for 13th. They're middle of the road to upper middle of the road. So, we'll lay off. We'll be smart. We will lay off it. So, but what we have here is 2 pitchers that are doing pretty good. The over-under is 8.5, but it hasn't moved. There's no movement on it, so that's concerning to me. I like to see some movement in there. So we'll leave the total alone. We're going to do it. We're going to go back. We're going to take this Nerfy. It's 59.2 is close, and Toronto had a history of Nerfies hitting, so we're going to ride with that, and we're going to bank on the fact that both batting averages are low, both pitchers are doing pretty decent, and so we're going to take the Nerfy and Bassett under 6 hits allowed in this one and move on to the next game. All right, we got Chicago and Cleveland. White Sox I said it yesterday, I wouldn't be surprised if they won. Not only did they win, they made the win look easy, because the numbers don't lie. Yeah, sometimes they don't happen, but the numbers don't lie. Probability is probability for a reason. So Schuster's 1-0. He's a bullpen guy against Lively 7-4, who is their actual starter. So the numbers are going to be skewed as it is already. Nerfy, not with a bullpen, can't do it. That's a pass all day. Odds, you can see why it's so heavily favored. Cleveland 250, 260, 280, 300 maybe by first pitch. The bats do lean Chicago though. 6 and 256 versus 3.7 and 204. Cleveland's struggling to hit the ball. That's all I'm saying. They're struggling to hit the ball, but now they get to go. They get to feast on some bullpen meat today. So you lean Chicago here. Pitching matchup, Schuster's going out there. He's a bullpen dude. I mean, it's a bullpen game. Having a bullpen game on today of all days should be a crime. The only thing I'm going to allow is it's in Cleveland. If it was in Chicago you were doing this, the fans should revolt. That's just saying. But hey, otherwise, you do you. You do you. That's all I'm going to say. So Schuster, it's a bullpen. We don't worry about bullpen guys. We don't talk about him because there's nothing to talk about. We don't know if he's going to pitch 0.1 or 3 innings. We don't know. There's not even props for him. So Live, on the other hand, he's an actual pitcher. Good job. 2.240. He's serviceable. He's actually not that bad. 3 ERA with a 1.16. Those are good numbers. I'll take those numbers. So overall, we got Cleveland clearly with the pitching, Chicago clearly with the bats. So they cancel each other out around here. So that means we're not taking a side. We're not taking a total. And there's only one thing we can look at, and that would be lively props. So let's pop over and see if anything stands out. Hits. So remember, Chicago's bats are doing pretty hot right now. So hits 4.5, because we see Chicago's batting 256 for 10th and 308 yesterday. So do we think Chicago can get something in this one? The most he gave up was 8 one time against the White Sox of all teams, and that was back in May. So over 4.5 hits might be a play. Strikeouts, nothing standing out there. Earned runs, that's enticing with Chicago's bats being where they are. 1.5 walks, that's also enticing. So I'm going to go with the simple one. I'm going to go with the hits. I'm going to take over 4.5 hits for Lively, because the White Sox are pretty warm with the bats. 6 runs a game, 256 batting, 308 yesterday. Yeah, they're still trending up. So yeah, we'll take over 4.5 hits in this one. That's all we're going to take, and we're just going to move on to the next one. Next up, we got Boston and Miami. We got Pivetta with 4 and 5, Tyler 0-1 given, only 10 innings, 52.4 Nervy, maybe. That's all I'll say. Odds, we can see Boston is a pretty moderate to have decent favor on the road. 8.5 for totals across the board. Looking at the bats, we see Boston 6.3 runs a game in the last 3 for 4th. Miami 3.7, so advantage Boston heavily. 300 versus 252, advantage Boston. But Miami's not that bad with the bats. 9 strikeouts versus 8 strikeouts. So both of them middle of the road. So not really going to look at strikeout props really. So what are we looking at here? We see both offenses are hitting the ball well. So over is in play. Nerfy's not in play. We're looking at over hits for props. We're looking at over earned runs allowed by Tyler. That's a thing I want to look at because Boston is getting runs in this one. So let's look at the pitchers themselves a little deeper. So Tyler has only pitched 3 games total this season. 1 was in April, and then his last 2 games have been decent. 4-1 against Philly, not bad. 3-2 against Seattle, not bad. So he's not bad. So he's had 2 pretty good games. Pivetta, on the other hand, 7-5, 6-3, 9-3, 6-4. Dude is, he's handing out free samples. That's all I'm saying. He's at Costco. He's on Sunday. He's giving out free samples to everybody. That's what he gets. So he's going to hand out runs. So we expect runs out of Boston giving up because Miami's bats are 252 with a 3.7. Yeah, I think they should go over that today. So already there, we already got some runs scored there. What's the over under 8 in this one? Yeah. And we got Tyler going out there for Miami. Yeah. I think this is going to be an over, guys. I think it is. Yeah, I think we're going to take the over of 8 in this one because we're going to assume Boston gives up runs, and we're going to assume Boston gets runs off of Tyler because Tyler's had 2 pretty good games, but now he's facing Boston, who's pretty hot. Yeah, we'll take the over of 8 in this one, and we're not going to take a side because the Pivetta numbers scare me, so we're not taking Boston. We're not taking Miami, so we'll just take the over of 8. We will pop over some props, though, because we like to see props around here. Earned runs by Pivetta is 2.5. This is banking on Miami scoring runs. Not liking that. I mean, it's possible, but I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna pass. If I get a weird feeling in my stomach, I'm like, ugh, no. So no, nothing on the Ks. Hits though. Hits could be a thing because Miami is swinging the bat better. Let's look at Tyler too. His number's 4.5. He gave it 3 and 4 hits. I don't want to first green. You can get it by yourself. I'm not helping you with that. No, not on strikeouts. Earned runs, no, we're going to leave those alone. I think we're going to leave props alone in this one. We're just going to have a simple, this one's going to be simple. We're just going to take over 8 in this one because we're getting good odds here. Over 8, sit back, enjoy, move on to the next game. All right, next up we got Detroit and Minnesota. Maeda 2-4 against Ober 7-4. Nerfy's 43.9. With these pitchers, maybe Nerfy's highlighted. Not for this one. No, these pitchers aren't that bad. So odds, we see that Minnesota's a pretty hefty favorite in this one. Over unders 8, 8.5 across the board out there. Bats, Detroit's trending up. Minnesota's trending down. 6.3 versus 4. That's an advantage Detroit. But the batting average is about the same. 231 versus 235. No advantage there. Detroit's starting to trend down. Trend up with strikeouts. They're going up higher than they are. And Minnesota doesn't strike out much. So the only things we're seeing here is, do we want to take a Nerfy in this one? Total's going to be off the board because they're both in the middle of the road. I don't trust the over or under unless the pitchers really lean it one way. And side, I mean, Minnesota's a 200 favorite. We got to have a massive pitching advantage for that to be a 200. Otherwise, this is looking like it should be closer to a pick 'em. So let's do pitching. Ober first. You see, he only gives up a handful of runs average. He does strike dudes out recently, which is nice to see. So that's something to look at because we see Detroit is starting to trend up in the strikeouts. Ober, okay, props might be on the menu. You know what? Let's go ahead and pop over to Ober's props. Strikeout props. Last 10 games, you can see what he's done. 8, 9, 10. He's facing a team that's starting to strike out more. 6.5 is whole. Yeah, I'll take Ober over 6.5 strikeouts in this one. I looked at the res earned runs. That was enticing, but I don't trust Detroit to get 2 runs on him. I just don't trust it. So we'll take Ober on the strikeouts. Pop back over here and look at Maeda here. Again, for him, he's the same. He does a couple runs a game. That's what he's good for. I don't really I don't really trust the Nerfy on this one. The bats are middle of the road, but that Detroit is getting runs for a reason. So I don't trust the Nerfy. I will take the Ober strikeouts. Maeda, he's serviceable too. He doesn't do much. His props, nothing stands out in his props either. Hits, 5.5 strikeouts. We know Minnesota doesn't strike out, so that's definitely not a thing. Earned runs. I'm not trusting these bats in this one. So for me, nothing is standing out. I don't want to take a total because Detroit's popping off on the runs, but their average kind of worries me. I don't want to take a side because this should be closer to a pick 'em. If anything, I want to bet Detroit money line, but there's not enough evidence for me to do it. But this shouldn't be a 200 Minnesota. This should be like a 130 Minnesota, 125 Minnesota, not 200. So I'm going to leave that alone too. I'm going to take Obear, 6.5 strikeouts, nothing else, and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Philly and Chicago. Sanchez, 6-3 against Italian, 4-4. Durfee, 47.1, maybe with these pitchers. We'll see. Odds, Philly is a slight favorite to a moderate favorite on the road. 7.5s are out there. You can see for the bats, Philly has the advantage. 6 versus 2.7 on the runs. That's 6 and 25th in the last 3 games. 296 versus 167. That is a 129-point differential. Ooh, that is a big advantage for Philly on the bats. 11.3 versus 10. Both teams are still striking out like crazy. So we're going to look at strikeout props for both pitchers. We're going to look at Philadelphia on the money line. Yeah, they're already a favorite. If the pitching is there, then we're going to be taking Philly on the money line. And yeah, anything against the Cubs hitting. So more Sanchez props. So first off, Murphy, let's go look at the pitchers. Italian, we can see he's prone to give up some runs. 4-3, 7-2. Great game against Tampa Bay. Great game against the Mets. Let's be honest. 10-5 against the White Sox of all teams. What was that? That's wild. So Sanchez, 3-0. It's complete game 3-0 on top of it. Just beast effort. It was Miami though. So, but still a beast game. 3-0 against Arizona. 6-1, 7-4 against Boston. 7-1, 4-0, 7-1. Okay. Italian's not bad. Let's be honest. He's not a bad pitcher, but he's not Sanchez good. Sanchez is a beast. He's 4th in ERA. He's 40th in WHIP, but dude's a beast. So I would say Philly has the not more than slight advantage in pitching, moderate advantage in pitching over Italian, and we already saw they have the advantage in bats. So we will be taking Philly money line. That's the fact. Go and add that to the list. From here, do we want to take a Nerfy with these pitchers? With Philly's bats being where they are, I'm going to pass because 296 batting, even though their stars aren't there, the rest of the team stepped it up. They stepped it up. They knew they had to. 6 runs. I'm gonna pass. A lot of people will take it today probably, but I'm not gonna do it because I'm pretty certain the Cubs aren't going to score much against Philly. So yeah, we'll just take the Philly money line. That's not bad. Nerfy will pass on. We will look at some props though. Oh, and the over under as well. 7.5. Who knew? Pass on that one. So let's start with Sanchez. That's where we're mainly going to live today on props. So earn runs 2.5. He has gone over this twice in the last 10 games. He is facing the Cubs, who are miserable with offense right now. Yeah, put it on the board. 2.5. Got to do it. Under, not over. Under 2.5 earned runs. His Ks, now we're going to leave those alone. Hits, I don't know. No, I think we're good. I think we got that. We'll look at Italians too. Hits allowed against Philly. That's enticing. That is enticing a little bit. I already got Philly moneyline and Sanchez under 2.5 earned runs. I don't really want to do anything else in this one. Maybe Italian hits allowed, but that's trusting Philly, and their stars aren't there. The other guys stepped up, but let's not be greedy. Let's not be greedy. So we will just take, on the odds, we're going to take the Philly moneyline. We got plenty of numbers out there to choose from. We got 126s out there. So Philly money line and the Sanchez under 2.5 earned runs allowed, and move on to the next game. Next up, San Diego and Texas. King 6-5 against Scherzer, 1-1. Nerfy 48.7. Maybe there's a good chance with this one probably. Odds, we see that Texas is moderate favorite at home, 7.5 with some 8s out there. The total, the bats. It's a weird looking one. We got trend lines doing all sorts of directions here. So we got San Diego 2.3 runs a game in the last 3 for 29th, but they had 6 last game. Texas number 1 in the majors at 7.3. I think they're tied with Arizona at 7.3 for first. 228 for San Diego batting for 21st, even though they batted 325 yesterday, and 302 for Texas for third. So the bats are alive, I guess you say. It looks weird, but it looks like San Diego's all of a sudden trying to break out, and Texas is still trying to hang around the 300 mark. Strikeouts, San Diego, them striking out 10 times is impressive because they don't do that much. So They're always top 3 in strikeouts, always. They're 8th right now in the last 3, so they're having a slump in strikeouts. 8th place is a slump for them. That's how good they are. And Texas is striking out a lot as it is 13 times yesterday, 22nd for 9.7. So we will look at King strikeout props. We are going to look at what the offense is doing, what they're doing. Texas is still remaining pretty hot. San Diego's trying to break a trend and bounce back up. Because you got to see the last week they were 279 in average and 286 top 3. They've been top 10 runs in the past 2 weeks. So it looks like they had a few games, but now they're bouncing back up. So we will look at the over under at being 7. There's a 7.5 out there. If the pitchers can show they can give up some runs, let's see if we can do that. So we got King going out there. He had a 9-5. I see that off the get, and against Milwaukee. Every time you see these things, it's always Milwaukee doing it. I swear. So outside 5-1 against Boston, pretty good. 6-1, 4-2, 5-0, 4-1. Those are outside Milwaukee. These are great numbers. Not numbers I want to take an over for. I'll tell you right now. And then you got Scherzer out here again. I don't want to go against Scherzer. He's pitching pretty good since he came back. So to me, an over is definitely off the board. Hell, to be honest, a Nerfy is in play. What was the Nerfy odds here? 48.7? Don't care. It's 4th of July. It is a holiday. It is Nerfy 4th of July around here. So we're taking the Nerfy in this game because, yeah, King's numbers are good. His strikeouts are good. Yeah, let's look at his props too. King, over 5.5 strikeouts, and he has hit that 8 out of 10 times, according to Outlier here, and he's facing the Rangers, who struck out 13 times yesterday. They're averaging 9.7. Yeah, we're going to take King over 5.5 Ks. We're also going to do that. Hits, no. Earned runs, nah. Walks, nah. Scherzer, let's see. He only had 2 games, so let's just do 2024. 4.5. I want more data for him. I like at least 3 to 4, maybe in 5 games before I really start looking at props on somebody, so I can really see a trend. So we have King. That's good enough. Yeah, we have King and his Ks. Yeah, those look good. The bats, you can see where they are. I think I'm good there. I think that's enough. I'm going to take the Nerfy in this one. I'm going to take King over 5.5 strikeouts. We're not going to take a money line. We're not going to take a total because these pitchers look good, but I don't want to take an under 7.5 or 8, and I don't want to take the over because the pitchers look good. So Nerfy, King over strikeouts, move on to the next game. All right, next up we got the Angels in Oakland. I've been wrong on the Angels back-to-back days now. That's a trend for me I don't like, so we might have to break that trend. Contreras 1-0 versus Sears 4-7. Nerfy 63.3. What to see why that's doing. This is what they've done this year. We'll see if that's something we want to play with. Odds, Oakland's favored now. Makes sense the way they've been playing. They've been in 8.5 with the totals out there. Looking at the bats, Angels have fallen off a cliff. This is a prime example of sometimes the statistics don't work out. The Angels have looked great in statistics. Last 2 games I took them, and you can see why it just didn't. Oakland's playing better. Angels fell off. Bam, that's a loss. That's what happens. You're not going to win every game. And this is a prime example of how the statistics don't even work out. So 3.7 versus 4.3, slight advantage Oakland in the runs. 258 versus 227, still advantage LA on the batting average though. 7 versus 8.3. Oakland's doing better. They're not even striking out much. Oakland, what are you doing? Who are you? Who are you? So these teams are pretty equal right now. In my mind, they're equal on the bats. Pop over to the pitching side, and we see it is a bullpen game for LA. You're on the road though. Like I said, just like just like Cleveland White Sox, if you were at home doing this, to jail right away. But since you're on the road, it's at Oakland. There'll be like 7 fans there. We'll let them enjoy it. So it's a bullpen game. We know nothing. Sears, on the other hand, 3-2-7-3-9-4-9-8-5-3. Sounds like I'm reading off a phone number. Wow, all these numbers. So he gives up runs. The Angels are there. I'm breaking my trend. I'm not betting the Angels. That's just me. I'm not personally doing it. So we're not going to do that. Nothing is really standing out. The odds 8.5 hasn't even moved. Look at that. Everything's 110. That means no one's touching the odds at all in this one. And it's hard with the bullpen game. You can see what Oakland's favored because of the bullpen game. You know what? This entire game is weird. I'm not doing it. I'm breaking my trend. I'm passing completely on this game and just moving to the next one. Next up is Baltimore, Seattle. Excuse me real quick while I type Nerfy on my betting sheet because Baltimore is on the road. is an autoplay for me this season. So we got Burns 9-3 up against Miller 6-7. You can see that Nerfy's at almost damn near 70%. It's almost, once it hits 70, it turns green. That's how often it hasn't been green in a while. So Baltimore hits the Nerfy. 90% of their away games is in their history on this year. 90% of their games, they have not scored a run in the first inning. Yeah, we're going to ride that trend. So looking at the odds, we can see Baltimore is moderately favored on the road, 7s with a 7.5 for the total. The bats are, I mean, put them in my drink today by the pool because they are ice cold. They can chill my drink off. 2.7 runs for Baltimore, 1.3 for Seattle. They're combining for 4 runs. No wonder the total is 7. Oh my goodness. 216 versus 163, bottom 5 as well. So yeah, the Nerfy numbers easily back up that one. Oh, I almost want to bet 2 units on Nerfy today. That's just how wild I feel like being because of it. I'm not going to. Don't worry. I'm not that crazy, but I'm thinking it. So either way, I'm not taking it under though. I'm not that wild. So we have the numbers. You can see the bats are terrible. Let's see how the pitching is. Burns is out there. 9-1. He has not faced Seattle recently. 4-1, 5-2, 7-2. He's done pretty good. 5-4 against Houston was his worst game on the screen. We'll take that. Miller, on the other hand, 6 for 6, 6 for 7. He's been not as good, but he gives us runs here and there. I don't trust that. Because you're going against the offenses, let's be honest. So, because the bats are so cold right now. If anything, we're going to look at some props because I have nothing else. I can't really touch a slot. I can't take it under. I'm not taking it under 7. Are you crazy? Never. I don't want to bet on Baltimore because they're just as bad as Seattle. And Miller, if he's not having a rough game, he's having a good game. So it's like, ugh, I don't know. We're going to pass on that. So we're going to pass on the side. We're going to pass on a total. We're definitely taking a Nerfy. Let's look at some props. Why not? Let's just pop over to Prop World over here. Under 7.5 strikeouts. We can see that this, oh yeah, let's pop back. We see the number, strikeout wise. Oh, it's Seattle. Yeah, Seattle is number 1 in strikeouts. So Burns, this should be over if we can see it better. Yeah, I don't trust Burns. I don't care. I know it's Seattle, but I'm not taking over with someone who's hit it 1 out of 10 times. I'm not trying to throw money away here. We're trying to be smart here. And this is not indicative of winning. This is indicative of gambling. We're not doing that. So pass. Hits allowed. Now hits is something, but that's, yeah, I can't, not with the offenses being so bad. I definitely can't do earned runs, can't do walks. So he's a no. Looking at Miller, his strikeouts, that's a no. The hits, that's a no. Earned runs, no. Walks, no. Nothing looks good in this one. Everything looks terrible. So the bats are terrible. The pitching is okay if it's on point. This is what we're going to do. Because the bats are so bad and the odds are so good, we're going to do it for the first time ever in a video. We're going to do it. We're going to double down on a Nerfy today. We're doubling up. We're putting 2 units on the Baltimore Nerfy. Because I wanted a second play in this game, but I don't have one. So instead, I'm going to put them both on a Nerfy. We're going to double up 2 units on this Nerfy and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Giants in Atlanta. We got Webb 6-6 against Morton 5-4. Nerfy 49.8. Maybe we'll see. Odds, we have Braves slightly favored 7.5, 8, and 8.5. We have all 3 options on the board for the totals. For the bats, okay, 5.3 for the 9th for the Giants in the last 3. 2.7 for Braves for 25th. 3-1 game last game. 284 versus 234. Giants have the advantage of the offense. It's pretty clear. Strikeouts, 8.7 versus 9.7. They're both bottom half, but not like extreme bottom half. So maybe looking at the pitchers, we got Morton going out there first. Has not faced San Fran recently, but had a 5.55 special against New York. 3-1, 7-4, 1-0, 12-8 against Washington. But, you know, when he's on, he's doing pretty good. So Webb, on the other hand, 5-2, 9-4, 6-2, 7-3, 5-2, 7-4. He's going to give up a couple runs. That's what he's good for. 2, maybe 3 at most is what you're going to see. He hasn't faced the Braves, but the Braves are ice cold, so it's probably good for him. So he's probably going to be closer to 2 runs, maybe even 1. So looking at the odds, I would say for the pitching, I would say Webb doesn't have these blow-up games where he gives up more runs like this. So I would say Webb is slightly better in pitching. I would say the Giants are underdogs too, but their offense is better. Yeah, we're going to take San Fran on the money line for sure in this one. Outside of that, do we want to look at props a little bit? Let's pop over and look at props. Strikeouts. That he is consistent in strikeouts. It's either 5 or 6 with a couple eights. He's too consistent. You can't go either way on him. Hits, no. Earned runs, no. Walks, pass. Look over at Morton. His strikeouts, he's a roller coaster a little bit. Like I said, they're middle of the road strikeouts. So earned runs. San Fran's offense is pretty hot right now. So yeah, neither prop's really standing out in this one. So all we really have is San Francisco money line. I don't want to take a total. Totals are all over the board. We got 3 options here. You can even go for a middle if you wanted to. 2 different books, one 7.5, one 8.5. See if it ends on 8. That'd be great, but that's rare. So I'm going to take San Francisco money line, nothing else, and move on to the next game. Next up, we got Tampa Bay and Kansas City. Eflin 4-5 against Marsh, 6-5. Nerfy 40.7. We'll see. Odds, we have Tampa as a slight favorite. In this one, 8.5 of your totals across the board. Looking at the bats, we see Tampa 4 runs a game in the last 3 versus 3.7 for KC. No advantage. 230 versus 250. Slight advantage for KC, albeit not be that much. 8.7 versus 5. KC's number 1 in strikeouts. Definitely not looking at a strikeout prop. And 8.7's middle of the pack, so probably nothing there. So far we have no advantage either way. Bats the same in my mind. Looking at the pitching, see if anything stands out. Eflin has not faced Kansas City recently, but 9-4, 2-2, 3-4, great game against Washington, but he's good for probably about 2 to 3 runs. That's what we're going to get out of him. Marsh, on the other hand, has not faced Tampa recently, but you can see he had a 7.77 blow up, 7.5, 7.4, but then a gem against the Yankees for 1 hit, then another gem against Cleveland. So due to the role, he is up and down. He's the opposite of consistency. Eflin, pretty consistent. We know what we're going to get out of him. Marsh, more of a roller coaster, more of a gambler in this one. So this one, I would say the pitchers are pretty even, because if you balance out Marsh's bad game and worst game and good game, it comes out to about even. Eflin pretty consistent evenly, so I would say the pitchers are even. The pitchers are even. So with the odds being where they are, I don't really want to take it over under in this one. I don't want to take Tampa as a favorite, and I don't want to take KC as a dog. So all those are going to be passes. Pitchers being where they are and the bats where they are. We're going to pass on Nerfy as well. We're not going to do that. We will look at some props though, see if anything stands out. Can we find something? So strikeouts for Marsh. We didn't look at strikeouts. Yeah, we did. Tampa 17th at 8.7. KC doesn't strike out. They're number 1. So obviously we'll pop over to F1. We're not looking at his K prop because it doesn't matter because KC doesn't strike out. Hits, nothing stands out. Earned runs, no. Marsh, like I said, is more of a roller coaster on his earned runs. To me, nothing is standing out in this game. So instead of wasting time, we're not going to take anything. We're just going to pass and move on to the next game. Next up, Milwaukee and Colorado. Myers 5-2, Quantrill 6-6, 44.5 Nerfy in Coors Field. Are you crazy? Never doing that in Coors Field. Odds, we see 10.5. That's why, even though it didn't come close to it yesterday. Milwaukee is moderately favored on the road. Pretty much all the same across the board. That's kind of odd, and this total hasn't moved much either. Looking at the bats, we see that Milwaukee 4.7 versus 3.7, a 1-run advantage for Milwaukee. 315 versus 267. They're both top 7 in batting average in the last 3. So the bats are doing pretty good. The runs aren't catching up to the average, but they will. If the average stays high, the runs will always catch up. It's just how it works. So 6.3, same for strikeouts. They both struck out 6 yesterday. They're copying each other's homework. That's all they're doing. So the bats, I would say, have a pretty good, they're doing decent. So over could be in play, but I mean, do you want to take over 10.5? I mean, we see it was 3-0 yesterday. So hey, if you want to take it, by all means, but you're going to get a 3-0 game maybe. Then again, you might get a 12-7 game. Who knows? Either way, I'm not taking it. And so looking at the pitchers, old Cal Quantrill, the name of somebody who sounds like he's 84 years old, runs a paper business, 7-5, 7-3, 7-3, a couple gems against Minnesota and Seattle, 9-4. You see what you get out of him. That's what you get. So he hasn't faced Milwaukee, but this seems like one of those games Milwaukee's going to put up like a big number like this. Like, oh, there's Milwaukee doing it again. Myers, on the other hand, hasn't faced Colorado recently, but the White Sox got him. 7-3 against that, but outside of that, just straight gems. June was his month. He was balling out in June. So you see, Myers good. I would say Myers is definitely a better pitcher than Quantrill. I mean, outside of these couple of games, Quantrill's consistently. So you know you're going to either get a great game or 3 runs. To me, that's consistency. As long as you went blowing up and getting up 8, 9, 10, yeah. Myers, he's consistent too, but I say he's slightly better. The bats lean Milwaukee. The batting average is better. The runs are better. The odds, I can see why they're 140. So with everything being this way, I am going to take Milwaukee on the money line. We can look at props. We're not taking strikeout props for sure. We might look at hits and earned runs. Pop over to the outlier. Hits, numbers not looking good there. We're not even going to look at Ks because it's not worth it because they're neither one striking out. Earned runs, no, not good enough. Quantrill, let's look at his earned runs real quick. 3.5, that's odd. Can't do that. Hits, can't do that. Okay, we can't do that either. So all we're going to take in this one is we're going to take Milwaukee money line. We're not going to take the total. We're not going to take a Nerfy, whatever. Just Milwaukee to win the game and move on. Our last game, we got Arizona and the Dodgers. The Doyas, Gallin 6-4 against Knack 1-1. Nerfy 39, Yurfy almost 13%. Not with these pitchers. These pitchers are pretty good. So odds, we see Dodgers minus 140-ish, 130-ish, depends where you look. Total 8.5s across the board. Bats, the trend line has left the building. It's gone for Arizona. 7.3 tied for first in runs. 321 first in batting average of the last 3 games. They batted 390 yesterday. The bats are on fire. They come to the plate, smoke's coming off the bat. That's how hot they are. 7.3 on the strikeouts is 11th, not bad. Dodgers 4.7 for 11th in runs. 255 for 11th in batting average, and 6.3 for strikeouts. They're not striking out much. So we have a team that's blazing hot. Buffalo Wild Wings, not a sponsor, and Dodgers over here who are pretty warm themselves. So obviously 8.5. Yeah, we're going to look at it over if the pitchers are going to help that out. So pitching, Knack has only pitched 2 games in June, 5-1, 2-0, not many innings. Game 3-2, 5-3. Neither one hit the over. Gall, on the other hand, has pitched 1 game in June, 6 innings, 1 hit. His first game back, he was out for a month, as you can see, because even back in May, he was pretty good. So first game back, struck out 7. Yeah, dude's welcome back. It was Oakland, yes. Now he gets to face the Dodgers, so I expect him to give a couple more runs here. Knack faced San Fran, which is impressive. Angels, not so much, but now he's facing Arizona, who's hot. I know the pitching are both pretty good, but it's the last game of the night. It's 4th of July. It will be on TV, one way or another. There will be fireworks booming all over the place. I might not be able to see clearly out of one eye, but hey, whatever. Whatever. It's 4th of July. You do what you do, right? So we're going to have this game on. I am going to take the over because I don't want to have to pick a side. I just want to root for a lot of fireworks, if you know what I'm saying. So we're going to take over 8.5 of this one and call it a day. All right, there we go. We have all 15 games broken down, and it is a lot of plays today. I went a little overboard. 1, it's a holiday. 2, I'm not working, so I get to watch most of them. 3, I mean, it's a holiday. Did I say that? Yeah. So special days deserve special things. We had a great day yesterday. We're just going to have fun today. We bet a lot of plays. So again, I appreciate everybody watching this. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. Share it to people who will share it to your loser friends who keep losing bets. Let them see, hey, come over here. You can win some money. Stop paying for picks with all these Twitter people. There's people that give out free picks every day that do pretty good, if not better than the paid picks. If you're paying, stop. So anyways, that's my little rant. Overall, again, shout out to Outlier, giving me all these amazing software so I can get these amazing props. Link in the description. Go get you a trial. Check it out. It helps me out too. It helps you out. It's a win-win. Let's do a quick recap for everybody. First off, Mets, Washington. We're going to go Irvin over 5.5 strikeouts. St. Louis and Pitt, 2 plays. Perez over 3.5 strikeouts. Palante over 3.5 strikeouts. Cincy in New York, we're going to rock with a Nerfy and under of 9. Houston, Toronto, Nerfy and Bassett under 6 hits allowed. White Sox in Cleveland, we're going to go Lively over 4.5 hits allowed. Boston, Miami, we're going to go over of 8. Detroit, Minnesota, we're going to take Ober to get over 6.5 strikeouts. Philly and the Cubs, we're going to take the Philly money line, and Sanchez under 2.5 earned runs. San Diego and Texas, we're going to take the Nerfy. And we're also going to take King to get over 5.5 strikeouts. LA and Oakland's going to be a full-on pass. Not doing it. Passing that one. Baltimore and Seattle. First time ever. I am doubling down on a Nerfy. I'm putting 2 units on a Nerfy. 2. So it's a 2x Nerfy for Baltimore, Seattle. San Fran and Atlanta. We're taking San Fran on the money line over the Braves. Tampa Bay and Kansas City is a pass. I like nothing about that game. Pass completely. Milwaukee, Colorado, all we're going to take is Milwaukee to get the win. Milwaukee money line. And Arizona Dodgers, end the night. I want fireworks. We're taking over 8.5. There's your rundown. That's all the games. Again, I appreciate everybody watching. I know this is a longer video than usual, but we had a lot of plays today. So drop a like, subscribe, share it to your friends that keep losing. And hopefully we have a green day, and I will see you tomorrow.